So a couple of days ago, I put out a video about how we'd achieved a zero home energy bill for 2025. And in fact, Octopus ended up owing us about £35. And people lost their minds. How could you spend £20,000 to save 34? I think they've missed the point. So this is going to be a really quick one. We're going to do some very basic man maths. And before all the accountants jump in, we're not going to be talking about depreciation of assets, capital investment, all the other things that we could be talking about. But I want to address this point because it's not about the £34. If we take an average house, and I think I live in a pretty average house. It's a 1990s built detached 3-bedroom. Nothing special about it whatsoever. It had the minimal amount of insulation that the builders could get away with when they built the house. We've put a bit more insulation in it, but we've obviously added solar, batteries, heat pumps, electric car chargers, and other things to the house. Now, if you were going to do it from scratch, starting today, you bought a brand new house, you'd probably be looking at spending somewhere in the region of about £20,000 to get a similar kind of system. Now, there's a lot of things in my system that would just be a waste. I wouldn't recommend you do, but you could probably buy a very, very similar sized system for about £20,000. Now, everyone got hung up on the £43 of saving, but that's not the return on our £20,000. What we don't have anymore is a gas bill. Now, our gas bill, if we look at our 2024 bills, was about £1,200 a year. So that's an immediate saving. We'll put that over there for now. If we look at our electricity bill, we don't have an old electricity where we can look at to get an exact number from because we've had solar for about 15 years. But when we look at the amount of energy we use and the tariffs that are available, we can estimate a saving of about £1,000 a year. That if we didn't have the solar and battery system, that we would be paying out to the energy companies. So we've got £2,200, £2,200 in savings immediately. But we're not done there because we've got 2 electric cars. Those 2 electric cars, now you're going to say, well, you haven't included the cost of the cars, but people don't include the cost of their petrol diesel cars in their calculations. If you've got solar and batteries, it makes a huge amount of sense to have electric cars because obviously you can put any excess that you generate directly into the cars at zero cost to you. Now, we did about 16,000 miles across my wife's 11-year-old Nissan Leaf and my Tesla Model Y. The vast majority of that was charging from home. I would say 95% of all of the kilowatt hours that we put into those cars in 2025 were home charging. So if we look at roughly what it would cost if we had a 1.6 or 2-litre diesel or a couple of those, we'd be spending somewhere in the region of about £2,800 on fuel each year to drive those 16,000 miles. Now, I'm sure there's going to be people who are going to argue and say, my car's, this is just averages. We're not worried about whether you've got a super efficient car or, it would cost you less for whatever reason. But taking an average car and average prices for fuel, it would cost about £2,800 a year. So you couple that with the £2,200 we've got, gives us a nice round saving every single year of £5,000. Now here's where the simple maths come in. And even somebody like me who's not that great at maths can work this one out. If we take £20,000 and we save £5,000, well, £5,034, but £5,000 every single year, that solar system is going to pay for itself in 4 years. So even if you don't have electric cars, it's still going to pay for itself in 8 or 9 years. But in my case, and only in my case, because they're the only numbers I've got to work with, that system would pay for itself in 4 years. And then every 4 years after that, it would return another £20,000. So in the lifespan of a system, which could be 25 years, we're going to get that money returned to us probably about 6 times over. So the maths really works out. And it's not about the £34, because quite frankly, £34, you can waste that in an afternoon in the pub quite quickly. but £5,000 is meaningful money. That is £5,000 that stays in your bank account every single year that you're not giving to the energy companies and the oil companies. So when you're looking at, does solar really pay for itself? Yes, absolutely it does. And even with simple man maths, anyone can work out that it's not about the £34, it's about the £5,000 that stays in your account every single year. Anyway, I just wanted to make a quick response to my own video is probably the best way to describe this. But I hope you found this. I'm sure for the vast majority of you, this was obvious. But there were so many comments from people just saying, hey, you spent a lot of money just to save £34. I thought I would address it in another video. The likelihood is those people that wrote those comments will probably never even see this video. But anyway, I hope you found this useful. If it is, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. If I'm lucky, I will see you back here real soon for another video. Take care. Bye-bye.